Hi, welcome to my podcast, Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. I'm your host, Lydia, and I'm here to share my year of growing and selling cut flowers. I'll be giving you the lowdown on everything I'm doing and sharing all the highs and lows, the good times and the inevitable disasters, all in real time. Join me on my cut flower journey, starting right now. Good morning. It is Friday, the 10th of October 2025. I thought you might like to join me this morning, letting the chickens and the ducks out. So, let's see how everybody is doing. Come on, guys. Hey, hello, everybody. Hey, Roni. Handsome. So we have two separate piles for breakfast for these guys in the morning because the ducks have their breakfast in a piece of guttering, which they really like because they can just run their beaks along the whole length of the guttering and just scoop the layers pellets up. And then Roland and his little girls have theirs in a separate pile because the ducks are a little bit enthusiastic first thing in the morning, and I don't want them competing for breakfast. So that's those guys let out. Let's go and do the others. Right, let's get the hens out. They're much quieter, these guys. Good morning. Oh, dear. Having said that, come on, everybody. Well done, girls. Morning, boys. I'll come back and get you in a second. Yes, good morning. Come on, girls. Come on, girls. Come on, then. There we go. Oh, little Mo's going the wrong way. There's always one. The youngsters never seem to get the hang of it. Right, come here, little Mo. Hello, darling. So the great news is that Mo is so much better that I brought her back up this morning, and I'm going to spend the next half an hour working out exactly where I'm going to put her because I have no clue at the moment. So I shall go and let the boys out, and I'll be back. When I first rescued these hens years ago, I decided to name them all after female singers. So I had Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Diana Ross, Adele, Celine Dion, and that sort of carried on for a while, and then you get a few introduced that it just doesn't work because they've already got names or something. And then when I got the babies last year, some of them are named after singers. So we've got Kylie Minogue, Danny Minogue, Kiki D, Florence from Florence and the Machine, that kind of thing. But when I had the other babies this year, so then there's babies and then there's babies, I thought, I know, I'll just name them after their parents because that'll be a really easy way for me to remember who is the child of which parent. So my girl Mo, who's been at home with me for the last 2 weeks because she's been poorly, she's just had surgery. She's called Mo, or Momo, because her father was called Maurice. And I thought, well, that's great. Mo, short for Maurice. I'll name Maurice's first baby Mo. So that's Mo. So Mo had 3 children this year, and I called her daughter Little Mo. And one of her sons is called Moland, because his dad is called Roland. So I thought Roland plus Mo equals Moland, obviously. And then the other cockerel's called Lion because I don't even know where that came from. Totally random, but it's just stuck now. I can't change his name. Anyway, my family think I'm absolutely potty and they cannot remember the names of any of them, even though I think it's a really straightforward system. So I have this whole generation now where it goes from Maurice, who has sadly passed, to Mo, to Little Mo and Moland, which I think is just genius. And then also Piggy had babies in August, and one of her daughters is called Miss Piggy. Again, I thought that's really clever. Miss Piggy, daughter of Piggy. And then because of the whole Muppets connection, I thought, well, the other daughter will have to be called Kermie. So we've got Kermie and Miss Piggy. So we have slightly moved away from the singing thing, although Miss Piggy did love to sing. So maybe there's a link there after all, but that explains that. Well, I'm pleased to report that the plug plants that came as part of the first batch of my J. Parker's order are doing really, really well. I keep checking them. They're in the garden, so they're in these troughs that I had growing my straw flowers in, and the straw flowers just did nothing except put on the most fantastic leafy growth, which is not what I wanted. So I've pulled them all out and composted them, and when the plugs came the other day, I have popped them all into the troughs, and they're doing really well. Some of them are just straight off the bat, they're off and that's it. Some of the others are still having a think about it. So that's been really great. I'm very pleased with those. I'm looking forward to the next mystery parcel to arrive. Now, I haven't done very much on the plot since I last spoke to you on Tuesday, actually. I've been off doing other bits and pieces. So I'm planning to get back up here over the weekend and carry on with all of the other jobs that need doing. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today was I've been thinking a lot this week about additional courses and extra training that I could do to try and improve my skills. And I listened to about 7 hours of podcasts yesterday. I nearly went out of my mind. So I have quite a lot of opportunity to listen to podcasts when I'm working, and I download absolutely masses of them and I listen to all of them. And one of the things I was thinking about is I would really just love to find, and I'm sure there'll be one out there, a podcast where somebody just talks to you and I could just listen to it on repeat and just is really positive and makes me believe that I can actually do what I want to do. Because the ones that I listen to are all quite skill-based. So there's lots of techniques, there's lots of talking through the plants and what to do when and how to sow and propagating and this, that and the other, and sorting your numbers out and doing this, that and the other. And I kind of feel like I've got that nailed. Like I'm not perfect at it, don't get me wrong, and I'm still learning a lot of things. But in terms of the technique, I feel like it needs refining, but I've kind of got there. What I really need help with is confidence boosting, and a podcast or an app that I could just listen to all day that will make me feel empowered and positive and confident. Because what tends to happen with the podcasts I listen to, I feel really confident and can do when I listen to them, and then I switch them off and it's like everything just seeps away, and I switch it off and I think, I can't do that. No, I'll never be able to do that. I really need to be able to listen to something actually 24 hours a day that is just saying, all these confidence tricks and things to make you feel positive. Does that make sense? I don't know if you ever feel that. Like you could just do with like a life coach on one shoulder and a business coach on the other shoulder, and not somebody that's telling you how to do something, but someone that makes you believe that you can actually do what you know how to do. And I have lots of skills and a reasonable amount of experience. It really is just the confidence that I'm still struggling with. Now, I've got an HRT review appointment next week, which I'm very excited about. And I did hope that I could get one a lot faster. It's taken like 5 weeks to get one, which is super depressing. But at the time I made the appointment, I only had 1 or 2 issues. And because it's taken them so long to send me an appointment, I just thought, well, I'll make a list. So I've got a really long list of things that I want to discuss now. And, confidence and productivity and proactiveness and all of that stuff is going to be up for discussion. And the confusing part about having problems with your hormones when you're trying to run a business is that you don't know to what extent the issues that you're having are attributable to the hormone problems, and how much is just starting a business when you, thank you, Lion, when you don't have a clue what you're doing and you're doing it all by yourself, and also doing it a really hard way. So I've been listening to some floristry podcasts recently, and they're very interesting because they hardly talk about the flowers at all. There's so much of it is just about business and sales and marketing and shops and dealing with customers and packaging and all of this stuff. They have barely mentioned the flowers at all. And there is so much about this whole business that I'm in that is really very little to do with the actual flowers, which I found very interesting and also very disappointing at the same time, because for me the flowers were the whole thing, I thought, and I am completely wrong. They represent a really, really small part of the entire enterprise. So this dream I had of me being on the plot all day and being up here with the hens and growing things is such a tiny fraction of what the whole business is. It's made me a little bit sad about it actually this week. Now obviously I could bring the laptop up here and do all the other businessy side of the thing while I'm up here on the plot, and that's not an issue at all. It's just I never realised running a business is so businessy and not really very much about the product. Sorry, I'm rambling. The point is that's the sort of what I've been thinking about this week, and just having like a life coach on one shoulder and a business coach on the other, and someone just reminding you all of the time that like you've got this and you can do this. I'll tell you this story briefly. Years and years ago, it must be, I don't know, over a decade ago, maybe it is about a decade, when I had a job that I could afford to actually do things with my time, I decided I wanted to get fit, and I thought, knowing what I'm like, I'll never be able to do it by myself, so I will hire a personal trainer. And so I found a lovely guy who was working with a neighbour of mine on my road, and I started working with him. And I met up with him and I said, look, at the first consultation, I said, I'm a really competent person. I will do this, but I need you to shout at me. Like, I need you to force me to do this. And I will come up with all these excuses and I'll be like, oh, I can't do it. Just don't take any notice of what comes out of my mouth. Just make me do it. And he took me exactly at my word. So the first time we ever went out running, I couldn't run for more than 1 minute 30 seconds because they time you. And he said, right, just run until you can't go on any further. And I was like, oh, this will be fine. I'll be able to run for about 20 minutes, probably not very fast. But turns out I couldn't run for more than 1 minute 30 seconds. And then I stopped and he was like, it's fine. We're just going to walk for 1 minute 30 and then we'll run again. And before you know it, like, you'll be running all the time. And I didn't believe him, but he was absolutely right. But the point was, he properly did shout at me. He made me do it, and I was perfectly capable of doing it. And August, September, October, November. So 4 months later, I ran my first 5K in 32 minutes 25. Not the fastest time ever, but for somebody that couldn't run 4 months previously, it's not that bad. And also, I was wearing a Father Christmas outfit as well, because it was for charity. And I really, really wish, I had absolutely tons of money and I could just have a coach to help me do what I know I can do. But I suppose if I had lots and lots of money, would I start off a small business and really, really struggle with it? Because I haven't half made things difficult for myself because I feel so strongly about protecting the soil and the environment that I don't have any chemicals here on site. So I've got an organic liquid seaweed that I use sometimes, but no artificial fertilizers, pesticides, chemicals, bug killers, glyphosate, absolutely none of that stuff. And then I decided I didn't want to import anything either. So that meant no compost or manure or anything from the outside. Just so challenging. And then I decided, well, obviously no plastics on the soil. Like, I don't want to be laying black plastic and burning holes in it and planting in that. That's just not what I want to do at all. And so I've sort of put up all these incredible barriers, just making life so difficult. And I was going to say I'm not sure why, but I know why. The answer is because I wanted to preserve the soil and the environment, because this little tiny field that I use for growing, to me, is really, really beautiful, and it might just look like a field on the side of the road to somebody driving past. But for me, it's like an entire ecosystem. It's surrounded by these gorgeous trees. Half of it is grass, and the deer come walking through. There's bats in the evening. There's a whole plethora of wildlife. No squirrels anymore, and still no sign of the rats. But apart from that, masses of things, beetles and slugs on the perimeter. They haven't made it inside. I'm not quite sure why, but there's all sorts going on, and I just love it. And it's like a little piece of heaven. And so the idea of putting chemicals down just seems completely wrong. I've never gardened with chemicals. I won't do it for my gardening job either. But it doesn't half make life challenging. I don't think the quality of the flowers has been affected. I think what I've grown this year has been beautiful, and I won't do it any other way. This is it. But when I listen to some of the floristry podcasts, and they're talking about the wastage and all the packaging for things, and the very fact that this entire industry is not sustainable, really, because everything is, grown and then thrown away. But then all the food we eat is grown and then it goes through our system and gets disposed of. So nothing like this lasts forever anyway. And I wanted to have the lightest touch on the soil that I possibly could. It's almost like a passion project just to preserve the soil. And as you can tell, I have not been doing enough work on the plot this week. Too much thinking and not enough working. But that's what I wanted to share with you, and to see if any of you felt like that you actually just needed more mental support, to push you, to encourage you. And I don't have a product to sell. That's not the angle I'm coming at it from. Like, this is something I need to buy rather than be trying to sell it to somebody else. But I'd be interested to hear what you think. Right, well, here's the final part of the podcast. I'm no longer on the plot, so the audio quality will be so much better. I have just listened back to what I recorded earlier this morning, and I'm sorry about the quality. It really is terrible, and unless I lock myself into the feed room and insulate the walls with Celotex or something, I think it's just going to stay like that, unless I do it in the car. But then you miss all the chicken noises, and it's not the same doing it in the car. Anyway, very exciting news. I've just got back from my eye test, and the great news is that my eyes are healthy. So that is wonderful. And my vision is not. So that's no surprise there. And I got told off for buying cheap reading glasses from Dunelm, and apparently the strength is too much and I'm cheating and I shouldn't do that. So I have to go and buy another pair of reading glasses, and they want to replace my normal distance glasses, and they wanted £100 for a new pair. And I said, can you not just change the lenses for me? I'll keep the frames. And they had lots of reasons why they couldn't. So needless to say, I'm not purchasing a new pair of glasses just now. They're perfectly all right for driving in. I'm not going to be causing chaos on the roads. But £100. Ouch. And that was for like the budgety lenses as well, which I have budgety lenses at the moment. Not a problem with those at all. As long as they hold the glasses on my face, I don't really care. I can't see them, so I don't care what it looks like. Anyway, when I was listening back to what I recorded this morning, I thought, it sounds a bit mopey and depressing, and I cannot leave you on a Friday listening to all of that nonsense. So I asked my best friend, ChatGPT, for some top tips for improving confidence when you have a cut flower business. And they've come up with some suggestions, and I'm going to share them with you now, because I think these will be useful. And I do know these things, and I try and do them myself. But like everything, it's not easy. So number one is to have some small wins every day. Set one achievable goal and actually do it. That'll be the hard bit for me. And then record what you did. Now, I do have a journal, but it's mostly a journal about how I'm feeling. I thought that would be interesting to record that this year. Probably won't be, but I think the idea of having a small win every day is a very good idea. And sometimes I do add things to my enormous to-do list and then just tick them off. Like, I won't have even written it down. I'll just do it, and then I'll add it to the list and then tick it off, just so I feel like I have achieved something. I think that's quite, that's probably cheating as well. Number two, reframe how you talk to yourself. This is a really good one, and I am trying very hard to do this because I am quite mean to myself sometimes. I did get into the habit of adding the word yet at the end of a sentence, like, I'm no good at this yet. I can't do this yet. According to ChatGPT, we shouldn't be even doing the whole I'm not sentence at all. We should be saying things like, I'm building a cut flower business, or I'm learning how to do X, Y, and Z. I'm working towards, rather than starting the sentences off with I'm not and ending it with the word yet. And thinking about it, that does make a lot of sense. Number 3, body language. Stand tall, drop your shoulders, and breathe slowly in a relaxed fashion. Yep, can't argue with that. Number 4, build competence, not just confidence. So, for example, master one flower brilliantly. This is my explanation, right? They just gave me the tips. I've padded this out. Master one flower brilliantly. So work out all of the fine details for just one plant and then know it backwards and inside out. Learn all the harvesting details, exactly the point at which you should be cutting it and how you condition it. So is it geotropic? Is it phototropic? What is it going to do? How do you need to condition it with other plants or by itself? Do you need to add any conditioner to the water? And then basically get this technique honed. Now, I have to say, this is not an easy one at this time of year because there's not very much, I'm not starting anything from scratch at this point. But I think this could be applied to all the seeds that I am going to be growing next year. In fact, all the perennials. I'm planning to make myself a table of how everything needs to be done, particularly the harvesting and the conditioning bit, so that I make sure that everything is absolutely pristine when it leaves the place. Number 5, surround yourself with people who reflect your best self. And this is a very important one. Some of the examples include connecting with other growers. And I found it amazing to be part of this WhatsApp group of local growers and florists. I think it's only about 6 or 7 of us in the group. They're lovely ladies. They're all within half an hour of me. And they're super. In fact, a couple of them went off to, they're members of the Flowers from the Farm scheme. They went off to visit Kim at the Marston Farm Girl. I don't know if you follow her on Instagram. She's amazing. She used to be the florist in the White House when the Obamas were in. Anyway, they went off on a visit there. And I'm going to pick up some compost from one of the ladies next week. So I'm going to have a word with her about that. But they're also they're just much more experienced growers than me. And it's just lovely to be part of that community. Now, on the same theme as this, limit time with negative people, like you know them, and people who are risk averse or are going to just say negative things. Because this, let's be honest, this is a risky business. I'm not talking about risk like mortgage your house and lose the whole thing. I'm talking about there are so many risks with this business purely because we can't control every element. So it's not like you're working in a controlled environment. You've got to deal with the weather, with the pests, with the plants, with, dodgy seed or with things that just go wrong. And therefore the element of risk is much higher than if you're dealing with a more controlled type of product. And you also want to soak up the enthusiasm and optimism and the work ethic and the confidence of other people. If you're surrounded by that vibe, it is absolutely going to brush off on you. And the final one that I'm adding myself, nothing to do with ChatGPT, is to keep I'm going to sound old here. I was going to say keep a scrapbook. I don't know if anyone actually keeps scrapbooks anymore. But take a screenshot on your phone and save it into an album with all of the nice comments or the kind words or anything, any feedback that you've had from people at any point. It doesn't even have to be related to cut flowers if you're not a grower yet. And look at the comments regularly, like once a week, once a month. Just go through them all and remind yourself. Because I can barely remember what I did this morning, never mind last week, never mind back in June or July, when I had some feedback. I think it would be really useful to go through that and be reminded of the successes that, gosh, I garbled that. Remind yourself of the successes that you've had to boost your confidence. I don't think it's narcissistic at all. It's to really reinforce the idea that you can do this. And I'm saying this as someone who half the time does not, 3/4 of the time does not believe that they can do it. But I want you to believe that you can do it. Right. That is it. I actually have to go and do some work now. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I will be back on Tuesday next week with another episode. And I wish you the very best. And I do hope you'll come and join me. Okay. All the best. Have a great weekend.